Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're discussing Finding Nina. It's the latest film from MZO Studios and it is directed by Famous Odion Iraoya. Now, because Finding Nina is currently streaming on Prime Video, just know that this review will contain a lot of spoilers. Well, not a lot, but it will contain spoilers. So if you've not seen it, you can skedaddle, watch it and return. But if you've seen it and you don't mind spoilers, whichever of the two groups you belong to, you sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this ride. Now, Finding Nina follows the story of Jabir, popularly known as JB in this universe, is played by Jammal Ibrahim. JB is having a crisis of some sort. Everything in the universe is pointing to him, an Hausa boy, well, he's a man now, but a man of Hausa origin who is based in Lagos. He's a photographer, a successful one at that. The whole universe is orchestrating to have this guy leave Lagos all the way to the north. First starts with him waking up to a phone call from his uncle. And yes, I just want to take this aside to say that it's good to see a nephew-uncle relationship depicted in Nollywood that is not rooted in village people, village spirit mythology. Now, it's not like I had a lot of that, but you know what I mean. Yes, we're going to take a page out of real life, to just give them the credit where it's at. So, JB's uncle wakes him up and is like, there is this festival in the village. I want you to come. It's an event. Come and see people. And JB's like, uncle, I don't speak Hausa, uncle. Manage my English, uncle. I'll come in December. And that's swept away. Yeah, awkward scene, if we're being honest. But next thing, there's this photo gallery. Now, JB is a photographer, and he has this friend, Raya. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Raya, played by Tomi and then Fred. I don't know what Fred exactly does, but he's a friend in their circle. Now, Raya owns this photo gallery, and she's having this exhibition. JB comes in, and the two of them are looking at this photograph, and JB is just spewing. In fact, two of them, not necessarily JB, are just spewing. When you want to prove that you know something to somebody, you start to spew so much grammar and jargons that are, eccentric or very important to your profession. That's what was happening here, and it felt so unnatural, if I'm being honest. But I understand that it's the screenwriters. Yeah, there are 4 people who wrote the script. The screenwriters and the directors aim and shot at telling us, we know what we are doing. We know what we're doing. But I wasn't feeling it, to be honest. But long story short, JB is not impressed with this photograph. And then he tells Raya. And let's fast forward to the next morning, which I will come back to. Something happened before that next morning. But in the next morning, when Fred has come around and 3 of them are discussing, Raya tells them that she sold that photograph for a whopping $50,000. And JB is unimpressed. In fact, he's livid, and I'm wondering, why are you angry? It's not Naira we're talking about here, it's US dollars. I mean, Fred gets it. Fred is excited for his friend, but Dave is like, the picture is propagating a story that is not conducive for nothing else. It's telling the wrong story. And Raya tells him something very, very poignant and says, if you don't like it so much, do something about it. Go to the north. Take pictures. Tell your own story. And at first it sounds like water on the rock. But almost immediately, JB makes up his mind because, I told you already, his uncle had called him, and the whole universe is telling him, oh boy, move to the north, move to the north. Next thing we know, JB is on his way to the north. He encounters this boy. It's nothing at first. He just pays for the boy's tea fare. And we are shown this car scene where, the car JB boards. I just show you the picture. But JD finds himself in the north, and this is like 1/3 of the story. Things are moving pretty fast at first, I think. It's like 1/3 of the story. JD is in the north. Now, the idea of him going to the north is to take actual pictures to counter the story, to rival the sale for the first one. Basically, it's business for Raya, business for him as well. But enters Nina. I need to add up to this point. The titular Nina had not even been mentioned once. But JD finds himself in the north and then takes a photograph, and it just triggers memories of his childhood friend, Nina, who for some reason he has the hot spot. Now, remember that part I told you I skipped over that, let's just go back to it. Raya has feelings for JD. Everybody can see it. Everyone can see it. Even the chicken in the car that JB boarded can tell. Everyone except JB himself, he is blind. Raya has all but thrown herself at this guy and he can see nothing, Yet now we know the point. We know the reason. It's because of Nina. For some reason, Nina has been at the back of his head, even though it wasn't mentioned at all in the story. Nina had been at the back of his mind, and then being in the north, taking photographs again, just jogbles that memories. And yeah, my guy is obsessed with finding Nina. You would think that the bulk of the story is about this guy going to the ends of the earth to find Nina, but it's not, because almost immediately as my guy starts thinking about Nina, Nina appears, which means that Nina was never missing. And yeah, started to wonder, why this title then? Why not Finding Me? Because the bulk of the story I ended up watching seemed more like JB uncovering himself, or the depth. Not like he had more depth to begin with, but uncovering whatever depth he had. So Finding Me would have been a more appropriate title. But then I also understand that there was a Finding Me from Funke Akindele. That also debuted on Prime Video. So I would understand if somewhere, along the process, an exec from Prime Video was like, yeah, you guys have to change that film title. Finding Me won't work anymore. Someone pitch you to the end of the race, And yeah, that's how we got Finding Me now. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, nothing about the story I watched pays homage or pays off that title. Just felt mistitled. Yeah, it did. When I first saw the trailer, I had so many thoughts about this film. I like films that want to portray the North in a positive light, or a more positive light that we get to experience in real life. So it had my heart on that one. We've had Up North and a couple of other films here and there. So I hoped that was what Finding Nina was gonna do, and in a way, it does try to do that. It approaches it, but in my own opinion, I don't think it succeeded with that. I don't think it did. It tries to also pay off its title, but it doesn't, because like I mentioned already, Nina was never missing. And while at the end of the day it was about this guy uncovering himself, discovering himself and what he's capable of, nothing. He scratched that. There was nothing about what he was capable of. It was about his feelings that were always in his face and he never saw. Yeah, that's what the film is about. And one thing I didn't like about the film is how it went about its story, because the North, for example, that I tried to spotlight, it didn't do a good job at that, for being honest. The North felt more or less like B-roll footages. Yes, every single shot of it we saw. This story could have just been placed anywhere else, honestly, and you will have gotten the same thing. So the North didn't exactly feel like a character, which is what you want to get with stories like this. Okay, so that it failed in that. Then for the writing as well, it felt like someone took darts of ideas and was just trying to stone them on a dartboard. And yeah, so many ideas, potentials, but none really paid off. I wasn't exactly feeling the writing, to be honest. The acting as well was not it for me. A lot of times, this thing that happens when someone is trying to say something and then you switch one word for another. Now I understand that happens in real life, but to be honest, in the film, I mean, once you can escape or excuse it. But when it happens repeatedly, and I think I counted like 2 or 3 times when it happened in this film, and that's just one symptom of many places where the acting was not exactly across board. I wasn't really feeling anyone's performance. Now, was it serviceable? Yes. It wasn't abysmal, but it wasn't exactly captivating from start to finish, Yeah, so that's for that. Finding Nina or Finding Me. Now, let me tell you, before I came to do this review, I think I had done a lot of, it's not Finding Me, it's not Finding Me, it's Finding Nina, because like I mentioned already, Finding Me will have been a more apt title. In the end, JB eventually gets to see what had been staring him in the face. All it took was many people, not one, not two. There was this Afa, then his uncle, so many people telling him repeatedly that what you might be looking for in Sokoto is under your Sokoto. They told that to him, not those exact lines, but you get the idea. Before it finally rang in his head. Oh my God, I love you, Nina.
Oh my God! Wow!
That was how he professed his love to Nina over the phone. It was, well, Finding Nina was ambitious. I give it to it. I like its ambition. It was ambitious. It tried to do a lot of things right, but none of them really landed for me. Really landed. Now, I don't hate this film. I thought it was promising. I thought it had its merits, but the demerits were too loud. I'm sorry, too loud to ignore. They kept staring me in the face, and yeah. But let me know, have you seen Finding Nina? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it was okay? Because the pictures were popping. the shots and the production design, the set design for the northern set scenes were luscious. They were good to look at. So if you think those make up for its lapses, let me know as well. What else? Like, share, subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.